Good morning, students. In our previous video, we had just started about non-cooperation movement, which was launched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1919, 1920, around that period, and we had also touched on what is satyagraha and why did Mahatma Gandhi particularly think that satyagraha could be such an effective weapon in the fight against the British rule in India. Okay, so and what it actually meant was that Mahatma Gandhi had always believed that even when he was basically in South Africa in 1909, in his book, he had made it very clear in Hindu Swaraj that the British in India would not survive for more than a year, in spite of whatever their financial and military might was globally, without the cooperation of the Indians themselves. And this is something which he had understood right in the beginning, that a few thousand white men controlling a country and managing a country of crores and crores of people is impossible without the whole official machinery, without the whole administrative machinery, without the social machinery cooperating with them. So today we further elaborate on this chapter, and coming to this paragraph, how could non-cooperation become a movement? Gandhiji proposed that movement should unfold in stages. Now, this is a very important line, students. How could non cooperation become a movement? Now, non cooperation is you non cooperating with someone. Someone asks and wants you to do something, and you feel that yes, you should not be cooperating. Either you say a blatant no, or you involve yourself to, but only to a certain degree of commitment, not absolutely. But that is a very, very individual non cooperation. But how do you convert that individual non cooperation into a movement? And what is a movement? Then the question naturally comes. A movement would be something which is being done by a lot of people together, where the goals are same, the aspirations are same, and everyone is working also in the same fashion to achieve that goal. So that is a kind of a movement, okay, where hundreds and thousands of people, and it is not just always, you say that it is a freedom movement where you would use the word movement. There can be other examples that can be cited, things like in after independence in 1950s and 60s, India used to be a food deficient country, where we had to import most of our food grains from different countries. And then we launched a kind of a movement. The government of India launched a movement whereby we became self-reliant in food grains. And now there is now the stages whereby we sell those food grains to different countries, we export them. Okay, so in the similar fashion with Amul, whereby we didn't have many parts of India, they were running in deficient in milk, and especially particularly in Gujarat, which happens to be an arid area. But then Amul was a movement where it was a mass movement where hundreds and thousands of people got involved, and ultimately achieved, with a common focus and goal, they achieved it. Okay, so this is non cooperation. How could non cooperation become a movement? Gandhiji proposed that the movement should unfold in stages. It should begin with the surrender of titles and government awarded titles that the government had awarded, and a boycott of civil services, army, police, courts, and legislative councils, schools, and foreign goods. Then, in case the government used repression, a full civil disobedience campaign would be launched. Through the summer of 1920, Mr. Gandhi and Shaukat Ali toured extensively, mobilizing a popular support for the movement. Students, this paragraph is not very difficult to understand. Many within the Congress were, however, concerned about the proposals. This is a very important one. They were reluctant to boycott the council elections scheduled for November 1920, and they feared that the movement might lead to popular violence. In the months between September and December, there was an intense tussle within the Congress regarding this. Now, students, you have to understand that you can really the Indians had been fighting against the British for their participation in the political structures within the country it for a very, very long time. And the British had gradually, and very reluctantly been they had been granting certain uh, rights and privileges to Indians to participate within the administrative affairs of India, within the political affairs of India. So, when they got a chance in 1920 to fight and contest the council elections, that was also after a lot of struggle, when the British consented that yes, Indians could also be members of those councils. And the election was due to be held in 1920, but then as Mahatma Gandhi wanted to boycott everything that was about the British administration, so naturally if they took it very seriously, then they would have to forego this opportunity to contest elections even in these councils. So this was a very tricky question which Congress was confronted with, that what should they be doing now. And that is what the Congress was in two minds, that if this was something which the opportunity had come uh, after years of struggle, but then if they also launch non-cooperation movement during the same time, it would become very difficult to participate in it, because the main motive of non-cooperation movement, which they were trying to convince the rest of the country, was that they should be boycotting everything which was related to British. They would essentially have to non-cooperate, and if you participate in the elections, this is just cooperating with the British. So how did the movement unfold? Who participated? Guys, these are very important questions. The questions would come in every examination from this topic about non-cooperation movement. You should read each and every line and every sentence. Okay. Now, how did the movement unfold? Who participated in it? And how did different social groups conceive of the idea of non-cooperation? Now, idea of cooperation, non-cooperation. Now, the movement in towns. The movement started with middle class participation in cities. Thousands of students left government controlled schools and colleges. Headmasters, teachers resigned, and lawyers gave up their legal practices. The council elections were boycotted in most provinces except Madras, where the Justice Party, the party of the non Brahmins, felt that entering a council the council was one way of gaining some power, especially, or rather something that usually only Brahmins had access to. Students, this paragraph essentially explains the diversity of India. It explains diversity not in the sense that you follow a different god and I follow a different god. No, diversity is also about economic diversity, educational diversity. Someone is more qualified, less qualified, rich, poor, middle class, and this is what exactly people coming from different castes, different communities, different religious and faith systems. And this is what the problem was, whereby um, because of the non-cooperation movement, the decision was made not to participate in the council elections, but then in the province of Madras, um, a party that was the Justice Party, which I remember was headed by Nair, two very famous gentlemen from South India in those times, Nair and Shetty. And they were the ones who were in favor of fighting for these elections, because they felt that the real power would only come if they got an opportunity to participate in the affairs of the state, participate in the administration. Otherwise, they would be forever in the streets and agitating and raising slogans and launching mass movements, but nothing would come out of it as long as they are not within those structures of power. And that is what Justice Party believed in. from Madras, and also the fact that Justice Party was mainly comprising of members from the lower sections of the society, the people who were not from the upper castes, and they felt that historically and traditionally it had always been the Brahmins who had been close to the ruling elite. Whether it was, it is interesting to know that right from the time when the great Hindu rulers used to rule India, Brahmins were even then very powerful. Even before that, if you talk about the days of Raja Ram and Mahabharata days, even then Brahmins were extremely powerful. Interestingly, even during the time of Mughals in India, the Mughal rule in India, the Brahmins still occupied very, very important and influential positions within the administration. And when the British came, nothing changed much. But the Brahmins still had a very important grasp on the administration of even the British during the British rule in India, because of one very important reason, and the one very important reason for that, it was not just that it was they were good in rituals and invoking gods. No, because they always were interested in educating themselves. They took education extremely seriously, and historically that was their biggest strength, and that is why the British needed them as well. And this is what the members of the Justice Party in Madras felt, that it is always the Brahmins who get an opportunity to participate in the running of the day-to-day affairs of the administration. They are always within the power structure, whoever the real ruler is. So they were this time, they had made up their mind that no, we come from the lower sections of the society, and this is an opportunity for us, something which we would not let go. Okay, we shall continue. Thank you.